Pokemon Stadium titles have always been released on the Nintendo 64, subsequently to their cartridge counterparts for the Game Boy Color. The original Stadium game came out after Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, and Stadium 2 came out after Pokemon Gold and Silver. Being released in North America and Europe in 2001, Stadium 2 is the spin-off that closed the second generation of Pokemon games more than 20 years ago, yet it continues to be played by both competitive battlers and speedrunners alike, revealing secrets over the span of these 2 decades that devs have kept locked away in the code of the game's battle engine. A man by the name of Werster has become synonymous with Pokemon speedrunning and holds countless world records on both the mainline and spin-off games of multiple generations. Someone with such an encyclopedic knowledge must have seen everything after so many years of playing Pokemon Stadium 2, right?
Oh my. And it has Icy Wind. What? What? I'm not Quick Claw, I'm Sharp Beak. What?
This happened on January 17th, 2022, while he was live streaming the game. First, let's talk about paralysis mechanics. In Generations 1 and 2, if a Pokemon is paralyzed, its speed stat is lowered to a quarter of its initial value. If my speed goes from 200, it will effectively drop to 50 after being paralyzed. And another stat modification would also stack on top of it. If you lower the speed by 1 stage, you're multiplying it by 0.67, making the final value 33. In this clip, Aerodactyl's speed would appear to be 45. But for some reason, this Aerodactyl went first against the Blissey, even though it was paralyzed. And we know that Blissey couldn't have used Counter, because the turn after that, Aerodactyl still went first against a Flareon. Needless to say that this got the attention of a lot of fans of Werster's, to the point that 25,000 people have seen this clip on his YouTube channel over the short span of a month. When I saw this, I noticed that the Pokemon Stadium 2 game is not applying the Gen 2 mechanics of paralysis correctly, because Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal don't behave that way. For the record, we already mentioned how his speed should be 45, whereas its initial speed would be 269, assuming it has perfect values at level 75. Icy Wind has a 100% chance of causing the opponent's Pokemon speed to go down by 1 stage, a multiplier of 0.67. It would seem that the game behaved like Pokemon Red and Blue, and caused the game to bypass the quartering of the speed from the paralysis, instead of stacking on top of it. In other words, it ignored the paralysis speed drop and then multiplied the initial speed by 0.67, rather than its current speed. This is known as the stat modification glitch, and it is very common even in competitive Gen 1, but it was never noticed in Gen 2 before because competitive players don't play much of Stadium, and there aren't many cases where an NPC has 2 ways to decrease the opponent's Pokemon's stats. So what was the final speed of Aerodactyl? 177. Blissey's speed was 157, and Flareon's would appear to be 172. Any less than 172, and Flareon would have outsped Aerodactyl, and we would have written this off simply as Blissey using Counter, which has a negative priority. Sometimes, the only way to explain a Pokemon moving slower than a paralyzed one is with negative priority moves like Counter or Roar, but this wasn't the case here. This isn't the only time that Pokemon Stadium 2 uses code differently from Pokemon Gold, Silver, or Crystal, nor was it the first time I saw this, actually. I only recognized it in the first place because people in the Gen 2 Discord had discussed a clip of something really similar happening on Pokemon Stadium 2, about a year earlier. An Ampharos managed to paralyze Lugia. The fact that the speed is reduced by a quarter is important, because it means that even after a speed drop by 1, or sometimes even 2 stages, the Lugia would be slower than Ampharos. But Lugia then used Curse the next time it was in. And the turn after that, you guessed it, it went first. There's even something really similar going on with burn mechanics as well, only this time the move Curse is affecting the attack stat and not the speed stat. Don't get me wrong, this is still a Gen 2 game and runs in the same way. Mostly. But it has some weird signs that the devs weren't quite in touch with the mainline games. I mean, if you look at the legality of moves in the rental Pokemon, there's no way that a Gyarados can be obtainable at level 15 without fishing it in Pokemon Yellow, much less with the move Hydro Pump. Moral of the story is, slow is the new fast, and I love this game. I hope you enjoyed, and please subscribe.